You know, everyone, in 1985, there was a show that showed up around this time frame. It was a show that was among one of the first three, if you will. It was among one of the first three. The other two, of course, were The New Adventures of Winnie the Pooh and The Wuzzles. This one, however, went on to succeed even beyond Winnie the Pooh. Well, actually, I should say it succeeded, basically well beyond, if not around. Basically this show lasted. This show, along with Winnie the Pooh, I should say. I'm sorry, it's 6:48 on this Monday, here on Monday, September 16th, at 6:48 in the morning. But anyway, this, along with Winnie the Pooh, lasted well beyond the Wuzzles. It lasted for 6 seasons and went on to be one of the founding shows that established what would become known as the golden era of Disney television animation, and would go on to be one of the founding shows that would establish what was known as the Disney afternoon era. And of course I'm talking about the Gummi Bears. Right here. This is a DVD plus R recordable disc of episodes I recorded. That one that I recorded courtesy of a friend who VCD'd one of my VHSs with them on there. And then this, of course, is the official first volume of Gummi Bears on DVD, and it's seasons 1 to 3. Volume 2, which would be seasons 4 to 6, hopefully will be released very soon, maybe possibly through Disney Movie Club. Anyway, I tried to talk about this the other night, and I thought, even though I did a good job, I figured I could do a little bit better, especially since I don't have anybody around right now. My mom's off at work. She left around 6:20 this morning, and my nephew, who's not surprisingly stayed or called up and asked to stay that night because he wanted to go to church yesterday, is not here. As a matter of fact, his mom, my oldest sister, his mom is getting him up right now for school. So, anyway, it's about 6:51. I wanted to talk about something, and you can probably see the title down below. I'm not, back in '85, when I was about 6 years old and this show came out, being 6 years old, you wouldn't really being a 6-year-old boy, you really would not think, oh, these two characters, male and female characters, belong together. They're perfect for each other. You wouldn't think that. Being a 6-year-old kid, you just enjoyed anything that was Disney at the time. And believe me, I was just like that. I enjoyed anything that was Disney. I enjoyed the Disney Channel. I was glad my parents, at the time when it was a paid channel, paid for Disney as part of their bill, part of their cable bill. I was happy about it because I got to watch shows like Mouse-a-Size, being 6 years old, adventures around Welcome to Pooh Corner and stuff like that, and Dumbo Circus. But any time Disney would have a show or a program show up on network television, non-cable, for any kid, it was more special than anything because anybody could access it, anybody could see it. Well, that was the thing with the Gummi Bears. Gummi Bears aired on NBC and made their debut on NBC in 1985. While the other shows, Wuzzles, that ended up on CBS, and Winnie the Pooh ended up on ABC. So I've been told. Well, I know Gummi Bears was on NBC because my mom, the year the show came out, recorded Mickey's Christmas Carol as part of NBC, when it was aired as one of NBC's Christmas specials. And on it, it talks about, in the credits, it says, look out for, gummy bears and, Smurfs and Kissy Fur and, and all that. And it's like, wow. I think these, even Fraggle Rock, I think, was part of it as well at that time. Animated Fraggle Rock. But point is, at that time, being 6 years old, you would never even consider putting two characters together as a pairing. But as I got older and everything, and I watched the show, I always had this feeling in my mind, in my heart, and my gut. Basically just an overall feeling, and this is just the feeling and opinions of a fan, that the way the two most popular characters, and we all know who they were, Cubbi and Sunni, were portrayed in the show, that to me it almost seemed like Disney was hinting around that down the line, if they ever aged the characters, or if they ever did something different with the characters, where they would age to be a little older, almost like teens, that I believe Disney was hinting around that they were going to pair them up together as a couple. Now I know that sounds crazy to some fans, if not a majority, if not a decent majority of fans. But there's also a decent majority of fans that kind of share the same opinion as I do. I mean, think about it. Think about it this way. Why would you have Cubbi and Sunni always hanging out together? Yeah, they were the only Cubs and everything, but you could have had Sunni hanging out with Tummy a lot more if you wanted to. Same with Cubbi. Heck, when they even brought Gusto into play, they could have had Sunni, which was attempted at times, to just hang out with him. You could have had the same with Cubbi, that's been shown. Maybe, you kind of get the idea. You could have mixed it up a lot more. But a majority of the time, you would always have an episode, 30 minutes, 22 minutes or 11 minutes, would always focus. An episode would always focus sometimes with Sunni, would basically have Sunni and Cubbi as the focus. One of the later episodes down the line was Life at the Party, which dealt with the Gummi tradition of finding this tree, this special tree. And they would always go after this tree. They would always compete with each other. And not just as, as some people would indicate, siblings, but as friends. I mean, you even take a look at an episode I have on my recordable DVD. It's not the best quality, but it's Rocking Chair Bear, a very established episode. I like the fact that it deals with a lot of things. Sunni's growing up. She wants to be respected. She wants to be given opportunities. But in the end, she realizes, you know what? I'm not going to be a kid forever. Neither is Cubbi. I should spend time being a kid and playing with a kid that's around my age, and that's Cubbi. As crazy as that sounds. She could have taken the offer of, we can do she could have taken the offer from Gruffy to help out and all that, or taken an offer from Gusto to have the statue that he was making of her finished up. But she didn't. She decided to go play with Cubbi. And the way she looked at him when she said that, you could tell that she appreciates him. And to me, again, it's just my opinion as a fan, folks, but I believe they were hinting around at having those two end up together. Now, or at least they wanted you to kind of play that out in your mind. Because even though the series ended with King Ickthorn officially, they still wanted you to keep it going in your mind, like what could be, basically what ifs. And I truly believe they were planning it. And I'm not lying about that. That's just my opinion as a fan. I mean, you take a look at some of the things, like I said, some of the episodes, like a Gummi in a Gilded Cage. Gummi in a Gilded Cage. Cubbi hears Sunni after she's captured in a cage, hears her singing and then coughing. Then he looks down and he's like, I'm going to go save her. And then he looks down, looks at Gruffy, and he's like, I'm going to go save her. Literally, he just wants to take off and go save her. And then when he finally does walk across, and unties the knot that's keeping the cage door, keeping Sunny's cage door locked. Once he unties it, Sunny has that expression of the my hero kind of thing with the hand like this near the face and all that. Well, you kind of get the idea. If you've seen the episode, you know what I mean. She kind of has that my hero kind of expression, and it's like, hello, is Disney hinting around at something? You know. I mean, okay. Here's another good example. Snow's Your Old Man, another 11-minute gummy bear short. Yet also involved tummy. No doubt about it. But think about it this way. Sunny could have easily stayed behind and said, you know what, let's just wait this out, right? She could have done exactly what the grown-ups were doing, but she didn't. She was like Cubbi. She was very active. Okay, she was very active. You know, she didn't know what to do, just like the other two did. So when they do finally want to go see where the spring is at, what happens? And here's another thing I want you to keep in mind. Why does Cubbi always, sometimes when he's piloting the car, why is it always Sunny that joins him? End of story. They were hinting around at something. My opinion, but I believe they were hinting around. I really do. I think Disney was. And again, you can say you guys can say, and you guys can say, oh, well, that's not really the case. Oh, yeah? Let's take a look at this. For example. I can't think of the episode right now, but when they left Tummy, when the older gummies left Tummy in charge, basically put him in charge of babysitting Sunny and Cubbi. Okay? Babysitting those two. He had to take command. He had to try to take charge of those two. Prove he was grown up and ready to be a responsible adult. You know what I'm saying? So, to me, it's like, well, okay, if they're supposed to be like siblings, or one's supposed to be older and wanted to do their own thing, why do they have to both be watched? Why do they hang out with each other? And again, you can draw up your own opinions and say, hey, they're like siblings, and true, that is true. I'm not going to deny that, people would say that. Heck, you have a lot of people writing fan fiction stories that are like that. But let me ask you this. And I think I got the episode. It's called Light Makes Right. Light Makes Right. It's the first time we see a gummy scope. The first gummy scope. Okay? When they get a message from the great gummies, Sunny hugs Cubbi tight. And of course you can understand that, okay, they're both the youngest, they're finally getting the idea of, oh, we're going to finally see gummies our age. And that's about it. And then think about it this way. Here's another thing. There's an episode, I don't know if it's on here or not. It has to do with a dragon. I'm trying to see. I don't know if it's Murthy Me. I don't think so. Gummy Dearest. I don't think so. It's something. I can't remember. I'm trying to look. Trying to look here, and I can't remember. But anyway, it deals with some kind of an invention that the great gummies created and modeled after a dragon's foot. Anyway, here's what happens. Sunni usually, and this is showcased later on, Sunni likes to usually shoo Cubbi out of her room, basically say, hey, do your own thing kind of deal. And you kind of see that in one of the episodes where he's like the Crimson Avenger, where he becomes the Crimson, in the episode where he becomes the Crimson Avenger. Well, here's what happens here. This episode, he's just sitting there, and she's just making her bed. Like she doesn't mind. She doesn't mind. And again, this is just my opinion, but these are little details I like to look at. These are little details I spot, and to me, there's a lot more as well. Like, okay, may the best princess win. Cubbi has to go after Sunni because Sunni wants to go with Calla. Okay, after a little bit of a misunderstanding argument between Calla and Sunni, Sunni's walking off. Here comes Cubbi on the other corner, and what happens? Boom! They bump right into each other. And how do they bump up? Bump right into each other. Boom! Right face to face. Now I know you're thinking, well, that was just done for comedic effort. Yeah, that's true, but she could have bumped right. They could have had tummy bump into her. The point is, you got to look at the subtle details out there. And to me, I truly believe that they were hinting around at something. They just couldn't do it because the series was ending. That was the whole point. The series was ending. They just didn't hint around at that time. And here's the other thing here's another thing I want you guys to look at as well. I want you guys to look at this as well. The way that we portrayed them was very similar in many aspects. Both Cubbi and Sunni wanted to do their own things. Basically, in a sense, they wanted their own independence. Cubbi wanted to be a knight in a Crimson Avenger and all that, and a defender. He wanted to be all this, and he wanted to do it on his own. He wanted his independence to do that, but because of the rules that were always put down on them by Gruffy and Grammy at times, they couldn't do anything. They couldn't. He couldn't do anything. He couldn't. Same with Sunni. Sunni's goal, just like Cubbi's, was very similar. Cubbi wanted to be a knight. Sunni, she wanted to be a princess. Or some kind of royalty of whatever. She wanted that. And what happens? She wants to do all these other things, but she can't because of the rules that are holding her down. Basically, her and Cubbi are similar, if not the same, because they both want some independence to go off and do their own things. But they can't. And again, that's what tells me that the way they're portrayed and the way they always got put together is, I believe Disney was hinting around at something like, okay, they're both from separate parents. There's no doubt about that. Both separate parents. They're both from separate parents. So they both are being raised here in the Glen, but they're not related. They're just basically like best friends. An example I've always looked at is Lion King. An example I've looked at is Lion King. Simba and Nala, when they were cubs, were part of the same pride pack. It was part of the same pride, if you know what I mean. The same pack. The same pride of lions, pack of lions, whatever. They were part of the same group. And they were cubs. But when you watch the movie, and you hear Zazu says, hint at the fact that they're being betrothed, fianced kind of deal, and, they don't know what the heck he's talking about, he has to clue them in on, hey, when you guys get older, bam, you're going to end up together. You're going to be married. You're going to end up together. And it grosses them out. The cubs, it grosses them out, right? And when you look at this and you see how they act together, it reminds you a lot of Cubbi and Sunni. And that's why when I look at Lion King, and then I look what happens later on in Lion King when it does eventually, what Zazu says comes true, they end up together, this being Simba and Nala, they end up as a couple and married, or whatever you want to call it. I look at the cub versions, I look at that scene earlier in the film, and it reminds me, in the way they act together, it reminds me so much of Cubbi and Sunni. And I'm thinking to myself, when I think to myself, I'm like, holy smokes. If Disney would have continued the series in some way or some shape or form, they would have done the same thing possibly with Cubbi and Sunni. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You kind of get what I'm getting at? Exactly. That's what I'm getting at. You could say, oh no, Brian, it's not possible. There's no way they would do that. It goes beyond anything you can even imagine, you can even think of. Well, to me, folks, it doesn't go beyond anything I can't imagine, I can't think of. Because just when you think it's not possible, it becomes possible. It becomes reality. And this is just my opinion as a fan. But when you take a look at the similarities, there's no denying that it could be a possibility. If Disney decides, hey, let's revive, the gummy bears, and let's make it take place years later, and let's make the Cubs older. Do you not think they're not going to go for that opportunity? Do you not think they're going to go for it? Of course they are. They're going to aim right for it. And again, it's just my opinion, but I think they would. Especially when you have an internet poll coming out, that's come out about a year or so ago, saying, hey, what classic cartoon would you like to see revived in some way, shape, or form? Gummy Bears is right at the list of that poll. And again, all you have to do is take a look at something like Lion King, and you kind of get the idea of where I'm going. Get the idea at. Get the idea of what I'm talking about, I should say. Like I said, it's about 7:10 now. But you kind of get the idea of what I'm talking about. Because when you take a look at how Simba and Nala acted as cubs, something has to click, you know what I'm saying? You take a look at, let's say, Wreck-It Ralph for an example, a strange example. You wouldn't think someone like Fix-It Felix would end up with someone like Sergeant Calhoun, right? But guess what? It happened. End of story. The thing is, it may take a while, and it may just happen maybe in your minds or in fan fiction, but it's something that Disney has gotten fans like me to think about for a while, and especially after what they've brought out in the past 20 years. Over the past 20 years, or past what is it now? 23 years since the series ended. What does that not tell you? What does that not tell you? Huh? It's possible. Anything is possible. People could say the same thing about Cubbi and Sunni. They could say the same thing about Simba and Nala. Both were part of the same pride pack. Both could have been considered as siblings, but they weren't. They were best friends. Same with Cubbi and Sunni. A lot of people might say, well, you have Buddy. He's about the same age as Sunni. Yeah, but I think he's about a half a year older than Sunni. Just like I believe Cubbi might be a year or a half a year younger than Sunni. Just my opinion. And you can say, well, what about Gusto? Yeah, they could do that too, but not possible. Because I think if they would have revived the series in some shape, form, or manner, some shape or form, that they would add in 2 new female gummies. One for Gusto, one for Buddy. I truly believe that. That's how things work, especially nowadays in entertainment. But that's just my opinion on why I believe Disney was hinting at a Cubbi-Sunni relationship in Gummy Bears. Strange as it sounds, that's how, just from what I've said, that's why I feel that. That's why I feel that way. So, let me know what you guys think. Comment below. Do you agree or not? And again, think about what I talked about. But again, give me your opinions. I gave you mine. Let me know what you guys think. God bless. Peace out.